Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. You're hanging and banging with one Joe Kuzma and my compadre, one Mr. Brian E. Roach. We're coming to you a little earlier ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday to pregame the 10-0 Pittsburgh Steelers against the 6-4 Baltimore Ravens. And I'm trying to say all of this with a straight face. I would ask Brian how he's usually feeling. Let's get some things straight out of the way. First of all, me and Brian didn't have our schedule together. We weren't on the same page. I was going to do this podcast solo. He pops in. We have technical difficulties. He's on a different microphone, so apologies if this is a little rough. We're trying to get this ahead of whatever kind of Thanksgiving we're going to put together in this COVID pandemic world with their families and things like that here. And we were looking forward to a Thursday night game that we had been informed midway through recording pretty much almost the entire show. It changed and flipped everything on it, turned it on its head. We'd gotten breaking news that the Steelers-Ravens game, the NFL, the cowards that they are, have tucked tail and given the Ravens an advantage. And I'm beyond livid with this, Brian. And anybody who's turning in and happens to be a Ravens fan, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers show. We are homers to some degree. I'm even more biased. Read between the lines right there is what Brian's saying if you're watching on YouTube. So we're all geeked up and ready to go, Brian. It was going to be the color rush stuff. We know the players get as excited as the fans do right from the horse's mouth. Juju and Zach Banner on the show, this kickoff this season. I got the custom towel behind my head here. I got the ball cap that's usually gold that would bleed into the towel that I have hanging on the wall behind me. For those of you who are viewing this on YouTube, I know Brian is sitting here. He looks like a tea kettle that's about to go off. We had gone through a whole spiel to start this show before re-recording here about how the NFL better not do this. John Harbaugh already cries about playing primetime, playing at Heinz Field, playing surface, any number of things. And I understand they have some players that tested positive or are on the COVID list due to contact tracing. However, the Steelers, when this happened in week 4 and the Steelers, they moved the game. They forced the Steelers into an early bye when it came to the Tennessee Titans, so they had to move their bye up to week 4 instead of in the middle of the season. And then the Steelers would have played the Ravens, and then they both would have went on a bye week. Instead of the Steelers playing the Ravens with a full week of rest, the Ravens got their bye week ahead of the Steelers instead due to this Titans thing. So the Steelers had to play the Titans, which was a war. Then they had to go so they played in Tennessee. Then they had to go play in Baltimore against a well-rested Ravens team. Got out of that, and then you saw how sluggish they were a week after against the Dallas Cowboys. They keep setting everything up as an obstacle against this team. They're ready to go. I don't really care about John Harbaugh and the Ravens. This is total, complete nonsense. I know there's people who are going to say everything about the COVID stuff. You don't necessarily want to see the Steelers or anybody get sick. I don't know if the Ravens necessarily have this under control. But if some of these guys come off this list, some of these guys get healthy, like Calais Campbell, Matt Judon, Jimmy Smith. Who else am I missing here? Derek Wolfe was with an illness. I don't think they said that he was COVID. Their whole defensive front line shambles. Their running backs, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, the 1 and the 2 in this rushing offense. They are purely rushing offense. We're still not sure. We think they still have to be quarantined. They were designated as out for the game being played on Thursday. They get those guys back. This is complete and utter total nonsense. Shame on the NFL. Move the game to Friday. Move the game to Saturday. But don't move the game to Sunday, supposedly Sunday afternoon. We don't have, I think, the official time yet. We do not. But the Steelers not only lose their bye week and have that moved and have to play all these things consecutive, now they were supposed to have a mini bye week. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, they lose their mini bye. It's I had this nice, wonderful introduction to our podcast talking about how my nipples hurt. It was beautiful because I ran 12 and a half miles. I was jocular. I was humorous. I had this great intro for us, and then this happens. And we got our Festivus stuff starting out of the way. We talked about feats of strength. We did all this stuff. And now what do we got? Okay, it's being moved. And the game time and broadcast NFL announces will be announced later today. Okay, nice. Thank you very much. I'm interested to see, look, how can I accept this? I can accept this if, 700 of their members all got COVID. I don't know. If they have no team left, I guess I can accept it, right? If we all assumed that maybe they were going to be more positive tests that came today. But if we just, I don't know. I'm beside myself. I'm sitting right over here beside myself. Here I am beside myself. I'm so annoyed with this whole process. I get it. Safety, all that. Wham. Stop.
I hope they.
Us. Nobody has been impacted the way the Steelers have, and they are not the ones that are doing this to get in this situation. Other teams are violating the things, doing things wrong, screwing this whole thing up. Yes, I want to cuss, but I'm trying hard not to. And it ends up being the Steelers who suffer for it.
No, here, Mike Garofalo. Yeah, they're the brunt of all this, even though it's all the other teams that are causing the chaos. And I understand they moved. Nobody else had a game literally shifted, and their bye week and everything moved around like the Steelers did. Period. And most teams, at the most, you had a game that was played Tuesday or whatever. There was a few of those things that were moved around, or a Thursday game. I think one of the other Thursday games got moved back to a Sunday too, and screwed a team maybe with a mini bye. But this is twice now that this has happened to the Steelers. So Mike Garofalo, the Ravens would have been severely limited on the offensive line. Sources say they were set to rule out multiple players because of close contacts, including centers Patrick McCarry and Matt Skura. Well, you know what? This is absolute nonsense to me. Matt Skura got benched because he's been a bum the last few weeks. They only have him coming in as an extra lineman, and McCarry was already on the injury report. It said it wasn't injury related, but did they hold him out thinking that he was a contact or whatever? So that they don't have two centers, what do you have this 16-player practice squad for? The one guy was already underperforming. You're not going to... If I come off as crying about it, I am. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. Does it change the fact that I think the Steelers are going to stomp a mud hole and walk it dry on the Baltimore Ravens? I think it's going to be even worse come Sunday. You're going to have an even healthier Steelers team. We still don't know if Ingram and Dobbins, the 1 and 2 running backs, if they're still going to be in quarantine and out. And you got to think if they aren't, that's really going to hurt the Ravens offense. It doesn't matter anyways. Everybody's calling out Lamar Jackson's plays at the line of scrimmage, and there's even more film for the Steelers to watch and improve their defense against that horrible showing where they gave up. They had the top run D and then gave up 265 yards against the Ravens. And that was one of my predictions, Brian, as I'm trying to circle around and remember everything that we haven't talked about in this re-recording now with the change. So Ravens offensive line is already, I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to say some things here. I shouldn't be polite. I should just say screw it. But like I said, Matt Skura was already so bad he had to apologize to fans on social media. And I was making one of these predictions this week that the Steelers would hold the Ravens to the fewest rushing yards all season. They have a 2019 whatever pick it was. I got to find out where this is now because I had all this. Ben Powers, 4th-round pick. He was going in at right guard. And then they had... Will Holden, who came up from the practice squad, splitting time with DJ Fluker at right tackle because they moved McCarry over to center because Matt Skura wasn't getting it done. They've already been without Ronnie Stanley. Okay, they haven't had any real practices. I get that. They're doing everything with Zoom meetings or whatever might be the case here. I still think the offensive line there is a problem. They have a few more days now to prepare, which kind of sucks. The only thing I could say is the only two guys really on the Steelers injury report that are going to benefit from this. Juju Smith-Schuster with the toe. Joe Hayden, was it an ankle?
Knee, ankle, I can't remember.
Knee, ankle, I got to pull it back up. Joe, where you at, Joe? Knee. These guys will probably play for sure now. So that puts the Steelers at more full strength than maybe perhaps what they were. The Steelers were already rested on playing the Jags. It just sucks for the following week. They don't get this benefit that all these other teams do. Playing at home Thursday night usually benefits that team on the schedule. We said it last year that the Steelers were set up when they went up to Cleveland and came out flat. The Ravens were being set up in the same way. And I truly, honestly think, I'm not saying anybody's catching COVID on purpose or anything like that, but I do not trust John Harbaugh. He's not exactly – this guy has his punter hold the ball in the corner of the end zone and take a safety in the Super Bowl. We've talked about the Joe Flacco. This is how we started the original show, and we're going to come back around to this now. We talked about the Joe Flacco being elite, throwing the ball up for pass interference calls, and somebody called us out on that whole thing. And, of course, Harbaugh didn't shake Vrabel's hand the last game either. He cries and complains anytime he has to go to Heinz Field, no matter what be the situation. The Steelers just get no respect and no benefit of the doubt whatsoever with all of this other stuff. Nobody talks about them being 10-0. In fact, they talk about them being the worst 10-0 team. When the Kansas City Chiefs, actually with one loss, have a worse their opponents have a worse record than the Steelers' opponents do on the schedule. Let's talk about the 6-4 Baltimore Ravens, who have lost 2 in a row, and they're scared of dropping a third because they're already behind the Cleveland Browns. That's what this really amounts to. That's what it really amounts to. Let's talk about them. They play a weaker schedule than the Steelers do. And they play practically the same exact schedule. They play the NFC least. They play all the same teams. Where are they at? They're at 6-4. Give the Steelers some respect. When you're talking about the top rookie wide receivers, the 11th guy drafted is outperforming the 3 that ESPN was asking should be the top wide receiver rookie of the year. T. Higgins, C.D. Lamb, the Jefferson guy that's up in with the Vikings, Justin Jefferson. I keep getting him confused with Van Jefferson, which I think he is with the Chargers. Chase Claypool has 10 touchdowns in 10 games, which nobody else has done. On pace to maybe match or beat Randy Moss's rookie receiving records.
Yep.
And you can't get any respect for him. And people trying to say, well, Ben can't throw the deep ball. And they get these pass interference calls because you can't guard Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool is getting waist-locked, headlock takeover, arm barred. They're pulling on his jersey, his shoelaces, stepping on his feet, taking his shoe off. Anything you could do to hold this guy down. And then you got to...
Taking his shoe off. Sorry,
and then,
that was funny.
and you've got the Ben Roethlisberger hat on. Here's a guy that's not even getting talked about for MVP with 24 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, a couple of those being fluky and crazy. And if he gets 250 per game over the next 6 games minimum, he will have thrown for over 4,000 yards. Rodney Dangerfield is asking here about getting his respect, Brian.
Yeah, look, I gotta chime in with one thing because our compatriot, Mr. Herman, of course, yesterday he tweeted something that I actually agreed with, and Eric and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and so I felt out of place with the universe. But today he tweeted after seeing this, he goes, "Oh, is it really that big a deal that the game got pushed?" So the stars have realigned once again. Eric is wrong. And I'm back on the bandwagon of I don't agree with whatever the hell Eric says. So, yes, it matters. And why does it matter? We've said it already, but it matters because this was where they were going to catch a break. The mini bye, they already got their bye screwed out of them. And now they're getting their mini bye taken away. And it's all the same thing. Who benefits from it? Oh my gosh, does the NFL have a Lamar Jackson thing up their butt or what? Because that's the team that's benefiting from both of these. I mean, I get it. They want to manufacture these superstars and then push them into the league. Look, they're either going to be stars or they're not. Patrick Mahomes will be fine. You don't have to do this nonsense where you start drama about are the Chiefs going to become the powerhouse and overtake the Steelers. Oh,
and I'm okay with them talking about the Chiefs. They're defending Super Bowl champions with an exciting young quarterback and an explosive offense. But it doesn't. There's not a balance there. You're not getting the Steelers talked about the same way. And you can't say. Usually, I'm saying it because New York, L.A., Chicago, Dallas, Boston, your big TV markets.
Right.
Kansas City. Come on now.
Look. Now, let me circle back around to make Zach Adonia happy and talk about PFF Sam and his despicable nature about Mr. Roethlisberger. As we said earlier, you used the analogy of the what do you got when you got nuts on your chin?
Oh, yeah, the Dr. Dre album.
The Dr. Dre album, yes.
Are they chin nuts? No, they're not.
No, they're Brady's nuts. That's what they are. That's what they have on their chin is Tom Brady's nuts. And I tweeted about it, and I'm not going to be as delicate because now I'm more PO'd than I was before. And they're criticizing Ben and saying he's not even a top 20 quarterback. He's not that great. He's not having a good season. He's holding the team back. All this nonsense. Look. I kind of agree with something that Adam Crowley said, which is, or no, it wasn't Adam Crowley, it was Chris Hoke. I'm sorry. Hokie, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Yes, I saw Chris the one Hoke. You're talking about. Yes,
yeah,
Hokie.
Where he said, just go ahead, keep disrespecting him. All it does is fuel his fire, and he's just going to play even better. I'm kind of actually with that. But, man, at the same time, somebody needs to say you're an idiot. So, PFF Sam, you're an idiot. Because if you look at what somebody peed in your mystery brew that you churn up. Maybe it was Collingsworth. Maybe it was your boss. He urinated in your brew. I don't know. But you drank it, and now you can't see straight because the same stuff that Ben is doing this year is the same stuff that you had to wipe your chin off after being Brady nuts about that Tom Brady used to do. Oh, he releases the ball so quick. He's getting it out of his hand so fast. No one could ever sack him because of all this. He's so decisive and quick and blah, 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 and blah, blah. You were just all at Twitter. Bend over and take it, man. I get it. You love Tom Brady. You'd hate Ben Roethlisberger. Just say those things, and then I'll leave you alone because that's obviously the fact.
Don't make this stretch of the imagination here to try and make Ben look bad just because you need to validate your terrible take.
Yeah.
Your terrible takes, I should say. And that's exactly where you're stretching. And we all said entering this season that Bruce Arians was going to get Tom Brady killed. And it looks like maybe Jameis Winston wasn't the only problem there. And now they're also, 1-2 with Mr. Big Chest there, too. I'm sure he's really going to help the chemistry on that team.
Oh, yeah. So
you hate to see it happen, Brian. You hate to see it happen.
No, you don't. You really don't. But, okay. Anyway, so I called out Mark Madden, and Mark Madden, paid attention to it, but he hasn't said anything. He's not going to fight me. That's okay. I get it because I'll kick his ass. Yeah. Anyway.
And we already have another old man fight coming up this weekend with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Or
I'm not in that fight because I'll be the first one to say I'll get my ass kicked in that fight.
Even though they're that old, I agree with you.
I'll get my ass.
I'm not taking haymakers from either one of those guys.
No. Mike Tyson hits me, I'm going to cry. I don't want to.
Fetal position before he even touches you.
But PFF Sam, feats of strength, wrestling, me, you, Festivus. It's time. Let's go. I will kick your ass. Old man strength.
Yeah, well, that's the real reason the NFL didn't move the game to Saturday because of the big pay-per-view event, which will probably be a snooze. I tell you, there's general interest. And George Foreman, by the way, that speaks of boxing, he got some of that done what did I say before? An accelerated age. So,
yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Most of the young pups out there only know him for having the mean, lean grilling machine. So, but formidable fighter. So I was shooting my shot about the Steelers' defense, not only correcting the problems that they see on their own film against the Ravens running attack that got 265 yards. But if they only have Gus Edwards, and I know Gus Edwards ran the football for, I had it before, 130 yards in Week 17 against the Steelers team that was totally depleted and should have got the benefit of moving their game back a few weeks or whatever and maybe get somebody else to play quarterback other than Duck Hodges. But they played against Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, and then that knocked Rudolph out of the one game. And they didn't have Connor, they didn't have Juju and all this and that. So when it sounds like I'm crying spilled milk and trying to take advantage of the Ravens, it's turnabout is fair play. And this, to me, is still not fair play. Harbaugh will cry, whine, and complain no matter what. They both do. And it'll be satisfying when we see that university up north finally fire the other one. So I can't. I had more respect for this guy, and it just continues to wane in the weeks that keep coming. And you had Marlon Humphrey go on the COVID list, and I don't know what's going on there. And like I said, they're not exactly angels when it comes to following whether they could practice in pads and do some other things. They've been fined and tagged with those things before. Things could end up being, accidental or whatever, but they could have flew out today on Wednesday. They could have flew out Thursday early morning. I think they were preparing to do something like that. They could take a bus ride, 3.5, 4 hours, whatever it is, stop in Breezewood, pick up some breakfast or some sheets or whatever the heck that you want there, and then make your way to Heinz Field for that ass whooping that's going to happen. I just feel like the Steelers are going to have – there's so much thing that's a powder keg here. They claim they're not talking about being undefeated. I truly feel that they don't feel that pressure. You could see it on the field the way they play. I don't think they put that burden on themselves, but they most certainly are going to have the itch to scratch to make sure the Ravens aren't the first team to put a dent in that record. They're going to want to do 11-0, and they're going to want to shut everyone up about whether or not they play against good teams, this and that. By the way, teams over 500. There's only one team with more wins than the Steelers over 500. There's a few. I think the Chiefs and the Steelers both have 3, but the Buffalo Bills are the other team with 4. And they could have actually been one more if not for the Hail Murray that happened to them over a week ago. So, I mean, it's enough of the nonsense trying to say they don't play anyone. The Cleveland Browns were the second coming, and they put them down. The Titans were undefeated. This is the next team on the comeuppance. King Henry. He's going to run all over this team. Didn't happen. The Ravens were next. Knock them down. They got a little bit of a lull in the schedule. I know that they were banged up against the Cowboys and looked like squadoo. They did not look the same way against the Bengals, and they did not look the same way against the Jaguars. Would you want the college-style blowouts when, Clemson or Alabama or we won't talk about Ohio State. They're a different breed this year, but it's not like NFL teams are putting up 40, 50 points on everyone. It's not a regular occurrence in professional football, and teams make adjustments, and they're paid money to – there's parity in the NFL. The Steelers still – their offense has never put up 24 or more points in 10 straight games like this to start a season ever. So I'm not so concerned with the offense. I look at that offense versus the defense on the flip side, Brian. I'm talking about the defense maybe holding the Ravens to – a total low, especially if they don't have Ingram and Dobbins. Forgive me if I'm a broken record repeating this. I can't remember what I just said 10 minutes ago, let alone what I ate for breakfast or if I ate breakfast. But if they don't have those guys, 110 yards is the low for the Ravens this season so far. They had that against, I got to find it now because I had it against the Colts, who I wouldn't necessarily say the Colts are lighting the world on fire, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the Steelers could limit not only missing the running backs, not only with that banged up offensive line, moving all these guys around, Ronnie Stanley out, this, that, and the other thing. Lamar Jackson, I don't think is the guy that just throws the ball around. They would have to drastically modify this offense. I think Gus Edwards is a guy that's capable of running the ball. Justice Hill is one of those backups. But I think the Steelers could hold them to fewer than 110 because when you look at the Steelers' offense, I think the Steelers' offense is going to have a better time of possession. They're going to run the football. It's not necessarily the emphasis here, but I think they could throw and run on the Ravens, particularly if you don't have Wolf, if you don't have Camel, if you don't have Judon. Brandon Williams was the contact trace. That whole front for the Ravens defense ravaged. You got a rookie in Patrick Queen as a middle linebacker. Not a bad rookie.
No, a good rookie.
I complained because they were able to, LSU, national champs. Their whole team practically drafted in the NFL, but damn, the guy got drafted so far down where the Steelers the year before had to trade up to get Devin Bush because it was Devin Bush or Devin White, and Patrick Queen falls right into the Ravens' laps to replace C.J. Mosley. But and they were using L.J. Fort there as well in some capacity. But I just think that front seven, particularly with injuries and or the whole COVID list thing on that defense, benefits the Steelers' offensive line, benefits James Conner, Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, etc. And if the Steelers are able to possess the ball and control that time of possession and limit the amount of touches that Lamar Jackson has, they have fewer opportunities to run the ball even more and do that particular offense where everyone's calling out the plays on the other side. Once again, Lamar Jackson complaining about that. I think the Steelers are in the driver's seat, both sides of the ball, even with the game getting moved to Sunday.
Yeah. Look, the next process of this, people are speculating that this game will get moved again. I doubt it because the Ravens play the Cowboys on Thursday night. So that if they move it again, then they're going to have to move that game too, which, again, just causes all kinds of problems. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to add the 18th week, remove the bye week for the top seed, and the Steelers will get screwed again. It's just, at this point, you know what? What does Mike Tomlin say? Don't care. Whatever. Don't care. That's what that's what the mentality I'm choosing to now take. Don't care. F it. Don't care. Just play. Play and win. Just don't care. What are we going to do? We're going to play the Ravens. Okay, I'm going to look at this upside and say, I think most of what you just said is absolutely correct. The only risk is that they might get Brandon Williams back, since he was a trace rather than a positive test.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case anyway.
But we don't know. We still don't know why they postponed this. They're still doing contact tracing. There was some speculation that there were more positive tests going to come out this morning. Maybe all of a sudden Brandon Williams is positive. Who knows, right? It could be he was high risk and he's negative, and now he's a positive result. I don't know. I'm just speculating. You don't know. So we'll see. We'll see how it all rolls out. I don't care who they put up. At this point, I think the Steelers should just play the rest of the season with a chip the size of an elephant's nut on their shoulder and just walk around and go, fine, don't care. Do whatever you want. Don't care. We're just going to play and win. Don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got the right coach to put them in that position anyway. I mean, that's the whole attitude. The standard is the standard, this and that. They were giving the Ravens 4.5, right? They were giving the Ravens 4.5 coming into Heinz Field. I did have that line right. Hold on, I'm bringing it back up. It was 44.5 over under. Now let's see if they've changed it since I last looked at it with the. Oh, I think they pulled the line entirely. It's not on here right now. I want to say they were given the Ravens were plus 4.5, and I said I would take that bet. I think the Steelers prior to this, and like I said, they're all geeked up. It was Thanksgiving night, color rush jerseys, this, that, and the other thing. Ravens. Bad 10-0 team. Ben's not an MVP. Chase Claypool's a nobody. Mike Tomlin, you're talking about other people for Coach of the Year, too. That's the other thing that's there. This is just complete nonsense to me, a disrespect on every level. So
I'm going to give one of my Twitter guys, Dan Harmon, a shout out here because he put a little graphic up that basically I think outlines the NFL's decision-making process when it comes to COVID. Okay, first thing, player test positive for COVID-19. You go down to the decision. The decision is, are they playing the Steelers? If the answer is no, play with practice squad members. If the answer is yes, reschedule the game. There you go. That's the NFL's decision-making process, and it's baloney. Look, we're going to be annoyed. I mean, we're just annoyed. There's so much excitement about, first of all, Tomlin made this whole nice, very motivational kind of heartwarming speech about playing on Thanksgiving, playing on the holidays, and how it's an honor. I guess the NFL decided that we don't want to give you that honor. Anyway, we're looking forward to it. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a color rush game. It's a Thursday night game. We have history with these kind of games. Ben's never lost in color rush uniforms. The Steelers, if they ever have, I can't remember when. It's it's something we really were looking forward to. And, with this year and the way Thanksgiving plays out for most people this year, for Steelers fans, this was just like, this is what we need. And in fact, Pat McAfee said, the world needs Steelers-Ravens Thanksgiving night. Well, we're not getting it. So, the question in my mind is, what happens next? So let's say that tomorrow they get more positive tests. What if they continue to test positive? Again, that's why I said this is going to continue. You're going to get the 18th week. You're not going to have a bye week, because what's going to happen is if they have more positive tests tomorrow, they aren't going to be able to play Sunday. And if they can't play Sunday, now they're going to push this game back until the 18th week. And in that instance, okay, guess what? We got our bye because we can't play. Right?
I would be, you know what, but I'm not necessarily sure I'd be okay with that. They do play the Browns week 17, currently scheduled the final game of the season.
Yeah, I don't want to be playing the Ravens the next week.
I wonder how this is going to affect fans, too, because they had already announced there's conflicting information. The Steelers PR department, I think, said there wasn't going to be fans for either of the two last games against the Washington football team and the Colts, and then I saw an email to the season ticket holders that said that they were still undecided on the Colts game, which would be the final home game. But let's add another layer to this one too, Brian. When you're looking at the schedule, that is a Week 16 home game against the Colts and a Week 17 road game against the Browns. You're taking that one home game away now, so you go away, home, away, home, away, home. I don't know. I'm so fed up with it, and it's not just my own personal wanting to see a game Thanksgiving night, et cetera, et cetera. I'm cool with it. There's other football games I'll be watching, but it's the whole
Sunday, not Thursday night.
Well, not the Thursday night game, but the competitive advantage that the Steelers had, regardless of the guys going on the COVID list, period, is just completely taken away now. And it also affects their competitive advantage for the following week. At least they have back-to-back home games, and it's not a road trip to play in D.C. against the WFT or whatever we want to call them. So I guess we'll leave it as it is. I think we shot our mark, at least I did, on the predictions. Do you feel that the Steelers are going to handle the Ravens the same way I'm feeling here?
I do. Look, as I said, I think that this is going to stick in their craw. They're going to be annoyed and angry when this game finally gets played. And I believe that they're going to handle the Ravens. I believe that they were handling the Ravens regardless. The team is a better team than they were the first time they played. And I think that they will play better than the first time they played. And I think that they will handle this game and handle their business. I don't think it'll be as close as the first game was.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And regardless of the Ravens getting a little more rest, their whole process is a bit in disarray. So there's still going to be an advantage there. It's just not the same edge. And not playing at night. They're talking about playing in the afternoon now. Man, it messes up everything. You got people that made plans maybe to go to this game, people that would watch this game. I don't know how this goes with TV, who's going to actually carry the game. It was supposed to be on NBC, and that was national. So now you've got folks that are in different areas of the country. When I was in Northeast Ohio, I'd get stuck with the damn Cleveland game instead. So I don't know how that's going to all impacting a lot of things. You know what I mean? And again, we're not trying to downplay the seriousness of whatever COVID, but they put these rules in place. And as you said, the flow chart off of the gentleman that sent out that tweet, are they playing the Steelers? That seems to be the only thing that really matters. And I know we're looking through it through black and gold lenses, as we say we do. But I know the Titans had some things shifted around. They played a Tuesday game. What was that, with Buffalo? And you had to, then that affected like the Chiefs, and then they had to move a game back or something like that also.
49ers got screwed with the Ravens.
Yeah. That's it. That's all it is. It's still not the same impact in both cases when it comes to the rest and advantage that the Steelers have had to face.
The inconsistencies in the way they do this, and again, I don't know. I may bite my own tongue if news comes out that this is how many positive cases they had today, and as a result, it's just worse and worse and worse. And you get to a point where it's not safe to play the game because they can't safely say, we're not going to expose the Steelers. I don't want the Steelers exposed. I don't like them being exposed to the Ravens' nasty cootie germs to begin with. But, I definitely don't want them exposed to potential outbreak. We don't want to be in that position. But I do also think, like I said, it comes to a point where you go, where are you going to go? Now, let me just make this statement. People are out there calling, we want first-round draft picks for this. We want this and that. Shut up.
Wishful thinking.
Shut up with that nonsense. Look, if they were egregious, I love that word. If they were egregious in violating protocols, then they should be fined. But the Steelers aren't going to get a benefit for it, nor should they. They shouldn't get. I don't want forfeits, and there shouldn't be forfeits. I don't want a gift win. I don't want any of that. But if they violated protocols and they did the wrong things, then yes, they should be penalized, just like the stupid Raiders were. They should get penalized if they did the wrong things, but not give draft picks to the Steelers. Go away. That's no.
I think, in all honesty, I think what could happen here too. Maybe some of these guys we're saying are going to be are available, and maybe a few others that aren't currently on this list too. So maybe it'll shake out. The one thing that did shake out, and probably one of the closing things, is we always talk about the refs stink. Somebody was trying to talk about your past, present, future tense there too, Brian.
I know, I remember that. Stink, stank, stunk.
Stink, stink, stunk.
They were quoting the Grinch.
Yeah. Oh, I got a quote from someone else, too. He's always sending stuff through the website. Edward Carmichael. The NFL hate the Steelers after the Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers should get 2 weeks off to heal before their next game. Well, that won't throw the schedule all in disarray. But, I like the sentiment there. But the bullet that was dodged, I thought they were going to get Clete Blakeman for this game. They get Ronald Torbert, who last year I said some positive things about, and then I forget which game it was. He wasn't as sharp, but at least they avoided that. They avoided Tony Corrente. Some of the more they sent Blakeman to the Bears and Packers game, so he will be around. It's going to be it's going to be one of the other AFC North games that are left, either the Bengals or Browns game. That's what it's going to be. He always ends up getting the division ones. I know he's a high-ranking official, but geez, I was glad when I saw that announcement come out that he was not assigned to this one particularly. So we shall see. I mean, the Steelers 26-23 lead the series all time, and Ravens won 2 of the past 3, but that asterisk there are 2 games without Big Ben Roethlisberger, our MVP, our quarterback. That's right.
Wait, I don't know how to do it. Is that it? Is that a heart?
Something like that. Almost looks like I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know.
Brian trying to make a heart with his fingers for Big Ben.
I do want to give somebody else a quick shout out. There's a woman named Marlene Elliston, and she sells nameplates on eBay, right? Like Steelers nameplate stuff. She makes these great. I'm trying to find one so I can show you, but I don't know. I have one. I don't know where it is. But anyway, she did me a solid, and she's going to make me some Cam Hayward grown ass man nameplates for my Cam Hayward stuff. I'm very excited, and so Marlene, thank you. And if you have this stuff, like I got this stuff back here, and you want little nameplates to put on it, go on eBay and look for custom nameplates 34788. You need a better name, Marlene. I don't know how to send people to you, but give her some business because she's real nice and she does a great job. So.
Yeah, and being a marketing guy myself, I could say that's not very good. And I could also say with confidence that the Polamalu book is officially in the wild. In the wild, if the cover of the book just doesn't get you excited too. So I checked with Jim Wexell after that, and I said, Brian, let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I hope you're ready for this. But he started doing media appearances this morning, radio and stuff like that. So anyone that's looking for that,
can't wait.
Yep, JimWexell.com to get your early Christmas shopping going already. So I could safely say that so nobody has to be apprehensive. And we didn't make a boo-boo. And we never make any mistakes. And we're going to be right. Steelers 11-0 Sunday. Sunday. That's all I could say. Brian, thanks for joining me, my friend.
Always a pleasure. I wish, I wish we were still playing tomorrow, but hey, it is what it is. I don't care. That's the new mantra. I don't care. Whatever.
I do care. It's
care.
just
we don't care.
We don't care for the whole. No, we're not going to sing that one, right? The whole state of Michigan.
I can sing that song.
That's the Ohio State coming in. That's the Ohio State coming in. Any Steelers fans up in Michigan, you're exempt from that, unless you are Michigan fans.
Did I talk about
in the middle somewhere?
I did talk about how bad the Bengals fans are.
Yeah, you did talk about it. I don't know. We may have talked about it. We've been talking for several hours, and only some of this is going to actually show up to our.
We need outtakes.
Hopefully, yeah, we almost do. We should just put the other one up so you get all of the venom that we had prior, and then we just crank the knob a little bit more. But my name's Brian. His name's Brian. My name's Joe. Getting a little crazy here, folks. Enjoy your Turkey Day, your Thanksgiving festivities. As we always say out there, truly we do mean be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.